How long have you been pretending this doesn't hurt? When was the last time someone really asked how you were and actually meant it? The kind of question that lingers in the silence, that doesn't rush past the truth. You spend your days shaping strength in others, coaching, correcting, pushing. People admire you. They listen. But when the gym empties out and your keys rattle in the lock of your apartment, you're left with a stir of echoes. The kind of silence that doesn't comfort. The kind that reminds you of what's missing. How long can you keep pretending you're okay when the truth feels so much louder? You are Miriam, 27. Madrid pulses outside your window, a city that never really sleeps, one that lives in the streets, in conversation, in spontaneous glasses of wine and endless dinner tables. But inside your apartment, the air feels too still. You came here 5 years ago, full of momentum. You built a life, a name, a reputation. You filled the space with motion, but not connection. Why does success feel so hollow when there's no one to share it with? You're a personal trainer, one of the best in the city, if your client list means anything. People trust you with their bodies, their limits, their insecurities. They open up. Sometimes they offer small windows into their lives, but you keep your own shutters tightly closed. It's easier that way. Easier than trying to explain the past, the constant moving, the distant parents, the years of learning how to be alone. But lately, you've begun to wonder, is easier the same as better? Your strength has always been your pride. Physical, emotional, professional. You've worn it like armor. But lately, it's starting to feel like a disguise. You look in the mirror and see someone who's composed but feels like she's quietly unraveling. You ask yourself things you don't dare say out aloud. What's the point of being strong if no one ever sees you struggle? When did solitude stop feeling like choice and start feeling like exile? Your days are sculpted with precision. Alarms, reps, schedules, macros. You thrive in discipline. It gives you control, something solid to stand on. You wake early, train hard, coach clients with charisma. People admire your focus. They say things like, "I wish I had your drive." And you nod, smile, deflect the compliment. But inside, you wonder, is being admired the same as being loved? You eat lunch alone most days, sometimes by choice, sometimes not. Your co-workers are kind, but don't ask questions. You've built polite walls around yourself, and they've learned not to knock. You catch yourselves watching them laugh sometimes together, sharing memes, planning nights out, tagging each other in jokes. They don't exclude you, you just never step forward. Why does vulnerability feel more terrifying than isolation? Sunday afternoons are the worst. The gym is closed, the streets are full of life, couples walking hand in hand, friends squeezing around crowded tables. You walk past them with headphones in, pretending to enjoy the stillness, but you're not listening to music. You're just trying to mute the ache. When did loneliness become so normal you stopped questioning it? It starts with a missed appointment. Lucia, one of your regulars, a mother of two who always shows up, no matter what, cancels 10 minutes before her session. "My dad's in the hospital. I'll reschedule soon." That's it. Short, rushed. But something about the message lingers in your chest longer than it should. You stare at your phone, thumbs hovering. You want to say more than just, "Hope he's okay," but you don't. You're not sure why. Why is it so hard to reach out, even when you want to? That afternoon, you walk home slowly, cutting through Refusal Park. The sun glows over the trees, catching the laughter of children, the hum of conversations, the quiet warmth of people together. You sit down on a bench, protein bar unopened in your hand, and watch life unfold around you. A couple argue softly beside you. A man tosses crumbs to pigeons. You're surrounded by connection, but it all seems like it's happening on the other side of a window. You're in the scene, but not part of it. Why do you always feel like a guest in other people's lives? Later that week, you overhear two trainers in a locker room. They're planning a birthday together for another staff member. You smile as you walk past them, pretend you didn't hear. You've worked here for 2 years and no one's ever invited you to anything outside of work. Part of you shrugs it off. I like being alone. But another part aches. If you disappear tomorrow, would anyone notice? Would they care? You try to brush the thought away, but it clings to your ribs like fog. When did you stop expecting to be part of something? You tell yourself you're just tired. That sensation in your chest isn't loneliness, it's burnout. That it'll pass. You double down on your routines. You train harder, eat cleaner, sleep less. You push the feelings away with each perfectly executed squat, each logged meal, each quiet evening spent scrolling through content that makes other people's lives feel too bright, too connected, too far away. You tell yourself you like being alone. You've always been good at convincing yourself of that. One morning, your reflection stops you, not just in passing, but completely. You look worn. Your eyes are heavy, not just from lack of sleep, but from carrying something you've never really named. There's a pause, a long one, and then a whisper of thought. What if you're not okay? But the moment flickers and fades. You shake it off, splash water on your face, and reattach the mask of being fine. Fine is easier. Fine keeps the world from asking too many questions. You watch people open up so easily, at the gym, on social media, in line at the cafe, and still, you hesitate. You wonder if you even know how to talk about your feelings anymore. What would you even say? That you're lonely? That some nights you pretend to be texting someone just to feel less invisible? That you're tired of being strong, of being inspiring, of being the one who never needs anything? You worry that if you say it out loud, it'll make it real. It starts simply. After a long session, your shoulders aching and your mind fogged, Inez, one of the newer trainers, catches your eye near the front desk. You look like you need 5 minutes away from this place, she says, half joking, half inviting. You almost respond with a polite excuse. Got errands, maybe next time. But instead, you hear yourself say, yeah, sure. It surprises even you. The words feel unfamiliar, like they belong to someone a little softer, a little less guarded. You walk together to a small takeaway cafe near the corner. The conversation is easy, casual. She orders a cortado, you get an Americano, even though you've already had 2 today. It's not about the coffee, it's about the pause. Inez suggests walking instead of sitting at one of the crowded cafe tables, so you drift down towards Refusal Park, paper cups in hand, the city softening around you. The streets feel a little quieter than usual, the kind of evening that invites stillness. You find a bench shaded by a tree that's just beginning to bloom. It's warm enough to sit without your jacket fully zipped. and the spring air carries a scent of earth and oranges. You sit beside her, the two of you watching a golden retriever chase a pigeon with no chances of catching it. Inez breaks the silence first, talking about her dog back in Valencia, about her roommate troubles, the weird loneliness that hits her even in a city this alive. You listen, your body slowly uncoiling with each story she shares. It's not what she says, it's how she says it, unforced, unmasked. At some point, without prompting, she glances sideways and says, "You don't talk much, do you? Not about anything real." She says it gently, without judgment. It lands like a stone dropped in still water, quiet but rippling through you. You don't deny it. You just nod and sip your coffee. Something about her presence makes it okay not to fill the space with performance. She doesn't ask you to open up. She just stays. And somehow that makes you want to. Not now, maybe not fully, but the door inside you, once so firmly shut, creaks slightly open. The following days are a blur of work, the usual routines, and a small but nagging presence of something new. You've noticed it in the way your thoughts wander. The quiet moments after your last client leaves, when you aren't distracted by a schedule or the buzz of the gym. That silence feels different now. It doesn't weigh as heavy. There's room for something else. You begin to wonder if it's possible to feel this much, to want connection so badly and not collapse under the weight of it. Inez continues to check in with you, small messages here and there. How's your week going? How's the latest project with your client? She doesn't pry, doesn't ask you to open up, but somehow just her reaching out makes you feel seen. You find yourself looking forward to her text, her casual check-ins. The barista at your regular cafe even starts remembering your order. It's small, but maybe it makes you wonder. When was the last time anyone paid attention to me like this? One evening after a particularly quiet day in the gym, you decide to walk to Retiro Park again. The sky is fading from orange to purple, the chill creeping in as the sun slips behind the buildings. You pass through the gates of the park and sit down on the same bench you and Inez shared. You stare at the path ahead, the trees swaying gently in the breeze. For the first time in a long time, there's nothing to distract you from what's been building up inside. And without thinking, the question bubbles up, unbidden. What if I let myself need people? The thought feels like a crack in the armor you've worn so long, like letting the light hit places you've kept hidden. It's unsettling, but there's something liberating about it too. You've spent so long pretending that loneliness was your choice, your comfort zone, but as you sit there in the park, you start to wonder if it was just a wall you built. What would it be like to take it down? The invitation starts small. Inez asks if you'd like to grab dinner with a few of the other trainers after work. It's casual, nothing big, but your stomach twists at the idea of saying yes. A part of you wants to say no, to slip back into the comfort of your quiet apartment. You can tell yourself it's just easier that way. But then there's the whisper in the back of your mind. What if this is how it starts? And with that thought, the moment of hesitation is gone. You text back, "Sure, I'll be there." Dinner feels like an experiment. You don't know exactly how to be around these people when they're not in a gym, when there's no agenda or routine to hide behind. At first, it's awkward. You laugh a little too loud at jokes, speak too much, then too little, trying to gauge where you fit in. You're not used to this, being in a group when there's no structure, no coaching, no expectations. You feel exposed, uncertain, as if the slightest misstep will prove you don't belong. But with each passing moment, As the conversations shift and move in all directions, you start to realize something. They're not watching you. They're living their lives, and you're simply a part of it. And for once, that doesn't feel bad. But then, as the evening winds down, you hear a familiar voice, the voice of doubt. It starts quietly at first, a voice in the back of your head. You don't belong here. They're only being nice because they have to be. The familiar fear settles in your chest like a weight, thick and heavy. For a moment, you wonder if you should make an excuse, slip away, go back to your comfortable routine. It would be so easy, so safe. But you hold yourself steady, refusing to give in to the urge to run. You remind yourself, this is what growth looks like. This discomfort, it's the point. The next day, Inez sends you a message. You seemed a little tense last night. You okay? You type out a quick reply. Yeah, all good. But you know it's not just about last night. It's about something deeper. Something you're afraid to admit even to yourself. You're still not sure how to let people in. It's easy to share moments of your life, but sharing yourself, the vulnerable parts, is a different thing entirely. How do you trust people with the parts of you that you have been locking away for so long? The more you let people in, the more you start to realize how much you've hidden, how much you've buried under layers of routines, facades, and even walls that you never even noticed you were building. Inez, with her gentle persistence, becomes someone you can't ignore. She doesn't demand anything of you, doesn't push for more than what you're willing to give. But with each conversation, each coffee shared, or silent moment in the park, you feel her presence cracking the shell you've wrapped yourself in for so long. One evening, after an especially draining day, you find yourself sitting on your couch with your phone in hand. You're staring at a message from your mum. How are you, Miriam? I miss you. It's a simple message, but for some reason, it stops you. You don't reply immediately. Instead, you put the phone down, run a hand through your hair, and sigh. Your family is complicated. Your dad's job in the military meant you moved constantly, never really settling anywhere, never forming roots. Your parents are well-meaning, but you've always felt like the outsider in your own family. You wonder, is this why I'm always afraid to reach out? Because I don't know how to ask for love without feeling like I'm imposing? The silence in your apartment feels louder than usual tonight. It presses in from all sides, heavy and thick, as you read the message again. This time, you don't just see the words, you feel them. I miss you. Something breaks in your chest. You realize how long it's been since you've allowed yourself to miss anyone, to let someone miss you. You've always kept yourself so guarded, so tightly wound, that the idea of needing someone, of being needed, has become a distant memory. A soft knock at your door pulls you out of the fog. You stand up, still half distracted, and open it to find Inez standing there, holding 2 cups of tea. I thought you might need this, she says, her tone warm with a knowing softness. You don't say anything at first. You just step aside and let her in. For the first time in a long time, you let someone in. Not just physically in your space, but emotionally. And for once, you don't feel the need to apologize for it. Having Inez around for an hour feels comforting. It feels good. The night feels colder than usual, a chill that seeps into your bones. You sit on your bed, staring at your phone, the message from your mum blinking back at you. I miss you, Miriam. Your throat tightens, and you feel the weight of years of distance. You miss her, but the idea of opening up, of letting her in, of admitting that you need her, feels almost impossible. For so long, you've kept your emotions guarded, afraid of being judged, afraid of not measuring up. The thought of being vulnerable, of allowing someone to truly see you, shakes you to your core. Tears start to fall unexpectedly, hot and fast. They aren't just for your mum, it's everything. The years of pretending to be fine, the loneliness, the fear of never being good enough. In this moment, it all breaks loose. The walls you've built around your heart feel fragile now, cracking under the pressure of everything you've buried. You try to hold back the tears, but it's impossible. The more you try to stop, the harder it becomes. You feel like you're on the edge, teetering between holding it all together and falling apart completely. Your phone buzzes again. It's a text from Inez. "I'm here if you need to talk, whenever you're ready." You stare at the message for a long time, your fingers hovering over the keys. This is it. You realize now that you've been avoiding this, avoiding needing anyone. But in this moment of vulnerability, you also know that you don't have to carry it all alone. You type out a response, your fingers trembling. "I don't know what's wrong. I feel like I'm falling apart." The reply comes quickly. "That's okay. I'm here." And for the first time in a long while, you let yourself breathe. You don't have to have all the answers, and it's okay to ask for help. You spent so much time convincing yourself that needing others makes you weak, that it's something to be ashamed of. But maybe that's not true. Maybe being vulnerable and asking for help is actually the thing that makes us stronger, more human. What would happen if I stopped hiding my emotions, stopped pretending I had it all together, and let myself be seen for once? Why is it so hard to admit that you need help? What would happen if you let yourself be vulnerable? The morning light spills softly into your room, touching everything with a kind of quiet grace. You lie still, your body sore in that good, honest way from yesterday's workout. But it's your chest that feels the most different, lighter, maybe. You said something out loud last night, something that scared you, and nothing shattered. Inez replied. It wasn't a grand fix, but it was real. You let someone see behind the curtain, and the world didn't end. It felt like a beginning. You breathe in slowly, noticing the absence of the usual weight. For the first time in a long time, you're not bracing for impact. Later, you move through the gym with a different kind of focus, not to escape, but to connect. Inez is there, like always, but now there's a softness in your exchange, an understanding. No need for words. You're still learning what it means to let people in, still terrified by the idea. But you took the first step, and that matters. The reward isn't clarity. It's not a sudden epiphany or healed heart. It's this: presence, connection, and a glimpse of what it could mean to live without the armor. You still don't know where this is going, but that no longer feels like failure. It feels like courage. That night, you find yourself staring at your phone again, not out of dread, but possibility. You draft a short message to your mum. Nothing big, just honest. "I got your message. I miss you too. I don't know where to start, but I'd like to try." You hesitate, feel the nerves crawl up your spine, but you send it. And that small act feels monumental. You're still afraid, still unsure, but something inside you is shifting. You're not fixed, and maybe you never needed to be. You just needed to believe that being open didn't make you broken. Maybe that belief is the real reward. A short while after you sent that text to Inez, you sit in your apartment, the dim light casting shadows on the walls. You let out a shaky breath, feeling both exhausted and oddly relieved. It's as though something inside you has started to shift, like the weight of the world has lifted, even just a little. The message from Inez, so simple yet so reassuring, echoes in your mind. I'm here. You realize how much you've been carrying on your own, how tightly you've clutched everything inside, afraid to share the burden. It's strange, this feeling of letting go. You've always prided yourself on being strong, independent, capable of handling everything yourself. But now, in this quiet moment, you see the cracks in that belief. The truth is, you've been running on empty for a long time. You've been pretending to be fine because you didn't want anyone to see your cracks, to see that you were breaking beneath the surface. But now, the cracks don't feel like weakness. They feel like an opening, a chance to finally be honest with yourself and with others. You've never allowed yourself to be seen this way before. But the question lingers in your mind. How do you begin to rebuild? How do you start letting people in without feeling like you're losing yourself? The idea of opening up is terrifying. That's the old fear of rejection, of being judged. But with Inez's support and with the realization that the people who truly care won't expect you to be perfect, you start to feel a flicker of hope. Maybe it's time to stop running from what's inside and start moving toward healing, one small step at a time. But it's not going to be easy. There are still moments of doubt, of fear. Can you trust that people will stay? Can you trust that you're worthy of the love and support you've been avoiding? And yet, there's a spark of courage deep within you now. For the first time in years, you think maybe it's time to reach out, to let your walls down and allow yourself to be seen without the shame. Maybe that's the key to feeling less alone. Maybe in the act of being vulnerable, you'll finally begin to feel like you belong, not just to others, but to yourself. It's been a few weeks since that night, and you've been making small changes. Each time you let yourself be vulnerable, each time you let someone in, it feels like you're pushing against a long-standing wall inside you, one you built years ago to keep everything, your feelings, your fears, your needs, locked away. But the wall is weakening. It's not gone, not yet, but the cracks are widening and the light is starting to seep through. You've had deeper conversations with Inez, and each time, you notice something new about yourself. You realize how much of your life you've spent holding back, afraid of being a burden to others. Even the simplest acts, like sharing a cup of coffee or talking about a hard day, now carry a weight that feels comforting, not burdensome. It's a strange feeling, this sense of connection. You spent years convincing yourself that you're better off alone, that people wouldn't understand you if you showed them the real you. But now, with every shared moment, you begin to see that true loneliness wasn't about being physically alone. It was about not allowing yourself to be seen and accepted for who you really are. One evening, after another long day at work, your phone buzzes. It's a message from your mum. Miriam, I know it's been a while, but I wanted to check in. I miss you. Can we talk soon? You read the words over and over, and this time, instead of the usual panic rising in your chest, you feel something different. A soft warmth, maybe even a little excitement. The fear of opening up to your mum, the fear that she wouldn't understand or that she would push too hard, still lingers in the back of your mind. But something has shifted inside you. The walls that used to keep you from reaching out to anyone, even your family, don't seem so solid anymore. You take a deep breath and type a message back. I'd love that, Mum. Let's set a time to talk. As you hit send, you realize that this simple exchange feels like a small victory. It's not just about the message, it's about the decision to step forward, to stop hiding, to trust that it's okay to be vulnerable, even with your family. That, maybe, just maybe, it's not about needing to be perfect, but about being real. And for the first time in a long time, you let yourself believe that you deserve this connection, that you are worthy of love, just as you are. The next few months pass with subtle, yet powerful changes. You begin to notice your own emotional resilience growing. You're learning how to be kinder to yourself, how to extend the same compassion to your own heart that you've offered so freely to others. Your relationship with Inez continues to deepen, but now you also make time for others, your clients, your family, even casual acquaintances. You realize that by opening up to people, you're not burdening them. You're giving them a chance to be part of your life in a way that feels true. You don't have to do everything alone anymore. One evening, as you walk through the park with Inez, something clicks. You've come a long way from that first vulnerable conversation, that first tear-filled night. It's not that you never feel lonely anymore, or that everything is magically fixed, but you've learned that being vulnerable is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. You know that allowing people to be close, to love you in all your messiness, is a gift to both them and yourself. Inez smiles at you, as if sensing your thoughts. You've come a long way, haven't you? She says softly. And for the first time, you believe her. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be perfect. What you've learned is that life isn't about keeping everything inside, pretending to be fine and always staying in control. It's about showing up, being real, and letting others do the same. And in that raw honesty, in that willingness to be vulnerable, you discover something incredibly freeing. Connection. Not just with others, but with yourself. You look around the park, the sun warm on your skin, and for the first time in a long time, you feel like you belong to the world, to your friends, to your family, and to yourself. You know you're not alone anymore, and that was all you needed. In life, we all face struggles, but that does not mean we are alone in them. By learning to harness your own inner strength, you too can overcome self-doubt and triumph over adversity. If you've ever faced a similar battle, know that you are not alone. You are part of a shared journey. Feel free to share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help others feel seen and understand that there is always hope, even in the darkest of places. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated with the modern hero's journey. Thank you for listening.